my story begins in 2013. I work in the construction industry, and I was working down on a project in London on the Crossrail. Just an ordinary day at work, a Friday. I'd gone about my business, hoping for an early finish, because on that particular Friday, myself and my wife Rachel were going to be going out for a few drinks. So we got a babysitter planned, and it was a nice change. So thankfully, my early finish came. And just before I left the site, I needed the toilet. So I went into the site toilets, and I don't know if you know, I think they have them in lots of workplaces and public areas these days. They have hydration charts with the different colours that your urine should be. And if it's a certain colour, you should drink more. If it's a lighter colour, you're okay. Anyway, so I stood there, as a gentleman does, and I was having my wee. I felt a slight burning sensation. But as I looked down, because the stream was travelling over my high visibility orange trousers, I didn't really think much of it. I just thought that maybe, because I was particularly wrapped up that day, it was fairly chilly, that I hadn't drank enough. So, before I got to my vehicle, I did a couple of bottles of water and then made my way home from London to Northampton. There was a problem on the M1, so I had to take a back road, and I ended up travelling near Bedford. I don't know if anybody knows the big hangars at Cardington, but they're on a back road there, and I really felt another urge to go to the loo. Luckily for me, there was a lay-by, which I've stopped and had a kip in before. And as a man can, you can just bulk yourself up, walk yourself off into the forestry area, shall we say, and go for a wee. And as I did that, there was a really, really strong burning sensation. And I glanced down, and I was passing blood. And I don't know how I did it, but I managed to stop everything, shuffle back to my vehicle, get my phone, go back to the tree, and then video on my phone what was happening. Because I just thought if I got a record of it, it would help moving forward. So now I've got a problem. I'm banging trouble. What do? I pondered it all the way home. Do I tell my wife or don't I? Because I didn't want to ruin her night. You know, it's the first time we were going out. So I did what every caring husband should do. I didn't bloody tell her. Yeah, just kept quiet. So dropped Rachel off to her friends, and then we met later. And like any sensible man would do who's just passed blood, went out for about 5 or 6 beers with his mate. And then through the evening, I'd excuse myself, I'd go off to the cubicle, and I'd video what was happening. And throughout the night, it was clearing. So, which I thought was, you know, I didn't know what was going on. But I kept recording, and come the morning, it was perfectly fine, there was nothing. But I decided at that point, I needed to talk to the boss. So, I took Rachel to one side and I just explained what had happened. Because it's worth noting that my dad had recently been diagnosed with prostate cancer, and he passed blood but hadn't done anything about it. So I got onto the phone, got an appointment, I think, at the medical centre, which is near the hospital on the hill there. Went in, explained what had happened, showed them what had happened. They took a urine sample. They came back after a matter of time and said that there was a slight trace of blood in the urine, but nothing too much. But as a precaution, we'll send you for an ultrasound scan. So I think the next week, I went to the general hospital, had the ultrasound scan, and the chap doing it, the lovely chap, and he said that they found a shadow. So of course, that doesn't sound good. You know, what does that mean? He said, well, look, it'd be wrong for me to say anything. You'll probably get sent for a more detailed scan, which I did, which was a CT scan, which then showed, I think it was a 9 by 11 by 12 tumour on my left kidney. And I was actually driving back to London for work when I got the phone call from my nurse from the GP surgery. And you have to forgive me, but I forget her name. We think it's Janet. I'm pretty sure it was. She was so nice. I never met her, but we just built up this relationship on the phone. And she said, look, because I told her all about me, she said, you're working, aren't you? You're driving. I said, yeah, but no problem, just hit me with it. And then she told me what they'd found, and it would probably mean surgery and, you know, further investigations. So I thought to myself, right, what do I do now? I didn't tell the wife. I was down for work for the night, so I was with my boss. I explained what was happening to him, but I felt it important that I continued with my daily life and just kept going, because that first negative of being told that needed to be turned into a positive. I had to somehow find a way. So after I discussed it with Rach, we then got an appointment to see Mr. Potter, who I must say, what a fantastic individual he was. And we were sat in the room in the hospital, and it wasn't until another fantastic individual, Judith, walked in the door with a Macmillan badge on, that we sort of looked at each other and thought, oh, here we go. You know, it then became real. So we had a discussion with Mr. Potter about how we proceed. The feeling was it was too big for keyhole surgery, so if I was up for it, we'd just open up, take out what was bad and put back what was good. I said, yeah, go for it. That was my positive. So they found it, and they're going to do something about it now. So for me, I could continue. I think at that point, I was busy continuing, and I was very conscious it was harder for my wife and family around and friends who'd known about it. Because when you're going through it, in certain ways, you're sort of more in control of things than not. And from the outside of the person who's actually going through it, you've got no control. So I was very conscious about this, and did my best to, you know, listen, talk, but I just wanted to just crack on and get it done. So went into the hospital early morning for an operation, which went well. And I must tell you this, after the operation, you know, when you're coming round in the recovery room, very strange feeling, because when they put you out, you just shut your eyes and then you open them up again. And it wasn't until I was lying there and I was looking at the clock and I thought, is that really the time? It's sort of nearly 5 o'clock. I'd come in here at about sort of 8, 9 o'clock or something like that. And when Mr. Potter came round, I asked him, I said, look, I think the wife would be a bit worried about me. You couldn't give her a call, could you? And he very kindly agreed that he would. And me not thinking that the last thing that Rach would want was a call from the surgeon, out of the blue. And as he was walking off to make the call, I then called him back. I said, oh, Mr. Potter. And he came back. And it was Champions League Tuesday. And Chelsea were playing. I said, look, why are you on the phone to her? Could you get her to record the Chelsea game for me, please? And he turned around and he said, no problem, yeah, no problem. And off he went. And then this lady turned around to me and she went, you do know he's a surgeon, don't you? I said, well, I hope he's not the bloody cleaner. He just took my left kidney out. So, hats off to the fantastic people in the NHS who did that part for me. So on we went, following a 10-week recovery of doing nothing, which I found very difficult. I can't sit still, stand still, be still. I still find that hard. I got back to work, we got on with life, and then I was going for regular scans. And this was all going well up to about year 5, and then year 6 after the operation, we hadn't heard about my next scan, so Rach kindly chased it up for me, because, you know, I was busy doing my bit of working and trying to forget about everything. Got an appointment for that scan in, I think it was year 6. And then I went for the results on my own this time, because we got that used to, with sort of a bit of complacency maybe, but just being told that on each scan, each point, yeah, everything's fine, you know, nothing to report. And this time round, it was a different story. The cancer has returned, it's in the lymph system. So there's nothing that Mr. Potter and his team, or they could do surgically for me, was now going to be passed on to oncology and put on a chemotherapy tablet form of chemotherapy, sunitinib, with the idea that was explained to me that it would contain the cancer because it was non-curable. So I walked out of that meeting, beg my pardon, just before I walked out of that meeting, I needed to know what the crack was, what was going to happen. So like all patients, I suppose, you want to know the good and the bad. So I asked the question, what's the worst case scenario, what we're talking here? And I was told that it was quite strange because they hadn't had many people that had gone on for as long as I had without showing signs of cancer, and then it returning. So there wasn't many people, or a lot of people, that they can compare it to. But then the keyboards were tapped, and it was sort of up to 5 years. I said, what, up to 5 years taking the tablets? And they said, no, up to 5 years of sort of being with us, being alive. I was like, blimey. But then it was explained to me that, there are a lot of people on this treatment that it really does good things for, and it does contain it well, and they go on for many years. So that was my positive. I'd flipped it round again from a total negative to a positive. I was going to have a treatment that would help me. So walked out there, met Rach, because our tradition was to go and, raise a glass after a meeting. And she knew as soon as I walked up the street that there was something wrong. So we had the conversation, and then I began the treatment. So, and that, I've been on that now for nearly 6 years. It'll be 6 years next year. The bit that hit me was the side effects, because you get told, this could happen, and I don't really think that you feel it until it actually happens to you. One of the worst for me being walking around in a pair of work boots all day was sore feet and hands. That really affected the work. So I had to, invest in socks. Like walking socks are really good. A good pair of boots as well. Really go and invest in those. Walking shoes, etc. Make sure things are comfortable. There was a lot of living and learning. The one I really struggled with was the uncontrollable bowel movements. I know I've had, don't mind sharing it with you, I've had uncontrollable bowel movements at 5'11" at walking pace to 35,000 feet in the air on a Ryanair flight. But it was a shit flight anyway, so don't worry. It's not a problem. I don't think anybody noticed, to be fair. Didn't do it on British Airways, though. Extra pants for that one. So I got to learn about how to manage these side effects, how to live with them, what to do, what not to do. And over the years, my body, and your body obviously adapts to what's being put into you. So that adapts to what you're taking, what you're doing. But through the whole journey, and as it continues, it's the positive mindset that is so important. It's to not let this own you. Don't become it. There's nothing wrong with me. It's my body that's got the problem. My person is fine. So I've got my head around that. And some would say that my body's always had a problem. I'm not looking at anybody there. But the important thing is just to stay positive. Appreciate what you're doing, when you're doing it, why you're doing it, who you're doing it with, who you're doing it for. But stay focused. Don't let it get to you. Don't let it beat you. Looking around the room here, I only know a few people, but you're clearly all amazing individuals because you're here. And that's something to be said about. To actually be here in this world is a pretty amazing thing at the minute. It's a pretty amazing thing ever. So, and none of us really know when that time's going to come. So focus on the here and the now. And that brings me on to a massive thing that helped me was Reiki therapy. And I don't know, have people appreciated this and enjoyed it? Have you been through it? I would absolutely recommend it to each and every one of you. If you're suffering with cancer or you're just walking around in life. It's a fantastic thing. I met a fantastic lady through the Macmillans, Sarah. And I don't know if you know anyone, if you know Sarah, but she's a lovely person. And through the Reiki therapy, it's taught me to live within my own space. You live by the do not worry, do not anger. Be humble, be honest, be compassionate to yourself and others. And it's massive. And for those of you that are going to experience Reiki today, I'm jealous. because it really is a great thing. And I went on to do my level 1 and 2 with Sarah. So with my aim is to give something back and hopefully to get involved with the Macmillan team somewhere along the line in the general, to do a bit of a Reiki. And that's been a real good thing for me and the family. So that pretty much concludes my story, because it's still ongoing. Still here, still going, and I won't stop. I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone in the NHS who's helped me, the Macmillan team, Judith, Wendy in particular, and Sarah. They're all amazing folk, you're all amazing people, and the support that you can give people like myself. I thought that I had enough support at home with friends and family, and I didn't think that I needed to take up any of Macmillan's time. But being introduced to them, they're wonderful people, it's a wonderful thing. So that's it for me, and I just wish you all well moving forward, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I thank you very much for listening. Thanks a lot.